Hey, this is Andrew, and this video series is intended to help share a little bit of what I learned about using spreadsheets to save time and increase productivity, especially in the nonprofit and education sectors. I'm not an expert, but hopefully that will make my explanations a little more accessible, and I'm happy to answer any questions you have in the comments as I have time. Remember that you can pause and rewind the video if I end up going too fast. We're going to start this series about building a budget in Google Sheets with the first lesson. And there's just going to be 4 lessons in this series. The first lesson is going to focus on spreadsheet basics. Next lesson is going to be an introduction to functions. The third lesson will be about cell format and conditional formatting. And the fourth lesson will be about representing data visually. So for lesson 1, we're going to start with spreadsheet basics. And the objective is that colleagues will be able to format the structure of a budget and use the fill feature of spreadsheets. So let's take a look at a very basic structure of a budget. You can see that we've got a few different cost categories here. We've got different months that are being recorded, and then we have costs in each of the categories for each month. And what we're going to be working on is getting this to look more like a budget, and it's going to look something like this. So this is kind of what we're going to be aiming for as we work through this lesson. Something that is a little cleaner, a little clearer, and we're going to learn how to add rows and move rows in order to break some of the categories into their parts. So we'll go back to the basic structure we have here, and we'll start with thinking about looking at how to highlight and move cells, move information. And that is pretty straightforward. All you need to do is, say for a cell, you can just click on it, and if you move your cursor up to the edge, you can see it turns into a little hand. And if you press down on your mouse, if you hold down the button, you can drag it and drop it in another location, and this just moves the cell around. So that's a quick way just to grab a cell's contents and move it. Another way would be to right click or use Apple or Control C to copy or cut the cell, and then right click somewhere else and paste it. So these are really quick ways to move cells around. And you can do that for more than one cell. If I wanted to move this entire group, I would move my cursor over to the edge. Once it turns to the hand, I would hold down the button, and I can move the whole group to the right, or I can move it back to the left. One of the things that I want to do is I want to actually make some room to break out this supplies category into a couple of different categories. And the way I'm going to do that is, one way I could do that is I could move this over, and then I can add in categories here, but you can kind of see I need to have space to break this supplies category into office supplies and candy, buying a lot of candy, and a total. And so the way I'm going to do that is I could highlight this whole area and I could drag it down a couple of spots to create that space. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a way to insert rows. So I'm going to go over here to the number 7, the row, and I'm going to right click on that number 7, and I'm going to go down to insert one above. This is going to insert one row above the current row. And you can see it just kind of created a blank row right there. I'm going to do that one more time, insert one above, so that I have 2 blank rows. And then I'm going to put in those categories: office supplies, candy, and total. And we know this is the total, but we'll want the office supply and the candy, and we'll call that just 50% for each one. So if this is 233, that would have to be, oh boy, math, 116.50. And I'm going to go ahead and copy, paste, and then we'll do the same thing for each of these. I'm not going to do that right now. You can kind of get the idea, and I'll just steal the numbers from the other sheet. But you'll notice that the supplies category overall looked like this in the original sheet. And the way that that is created is by, I'm going to move this up to the top cell, and I'm going to highlight those 3 cells and click on this button up here that says Merge Cells. And if you click on the little down arrow, you can select to merge horizontally, but right now I want to merge vertically. And so that just creates one box over those 3 cells. And I'm also going to change the alignment to be the middle of that cell. Kind of makes it look a little nicer. I also want these to kind of stand out as the budget category, so I'm going to go ahead and bold those names. And you can kind of see this one is extending into the next door cell, and so I want to change the width of that column, and I'm going to go up and just drag the divider between them to change the size. All right. I also want to extend this for a couple more months, and this is where I'm going to introduce a really neat feature that Excel and Google Sheets have, and that is the fill feature. And what it does is it recognizes a pattern and it extends that pattern. So you'll see this has June, July, August, September, and I want an October, November. And I could just type in those values, but I want to show you how to use the fill feature. So I'm going to select those 4, and that helps establish a pattern so that Google Sheets knows, oh, okay, I can see that we're just adding 1 month each time. And I'm going to go down to this corner with this little box, and my cursor is going to turn into a plus sign. I'm going to grab that by holding down the mouse, and I'm going to move it over to the right 1, 2, and it automatically guessed, oh, you probably just want the next 2 in that pattern, 10 and 11. And that's right. So this fill feature is really powerful because if you establish a pattern with even just 2 or maybe 3 cells, you can extend it without having to manually write it in. If you just click on one box and you try to extend that, it will assume that you just want to do the smallest step. So I think it's going to go November 2nd, 3rd. And there we go. It thinks you want to go day by day. But by establishing the month by month pattern here and filling in that, you can get the month by month pattern. I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to press the delete key to, I don't know what that did. I'm just going to delete those. Okay. So now I've got a couple of months here, and I kind of want these to be centered in their cells. So I'm going to click the horizontal alignment and click center. And I kind of want these numbers to be centered also, so I'll center these. And let's say, for the purposes of this budget, that September is going to be the same as, October is going to be the same as September, so I'll go ahead and copy these values. You would probably manually type these in, but we're not going to worry about that right now. And one of the last things that we're going to do to finish up this this lesson is add in these cell borders. So we'll copy this one more time, pretend the budget stays the same, and imagine that these numbers are getting filled in. We would just divide this by half. And to add cell borders, I'm going to go ahead and select the cells that I want to have borders, and I'm going to go up to this borders box, click on the drop down arrow, and click all borders. So now we got the borders in there, and I think I want to highlight, I want these to be bold, and I want to underline them. I'm going to press Apple U or Control U, depending if I'm a Mac or PC user. And now we're starting to see that these numbers are looking, and the structure, the formatting is looking a lot like the one that we wanted to get to. I'm going to go ahead and just copy these values so that they are the same in our example. Paste those there, and I will go ahead and kind of cheat, and I will copy these values also. And then we're really looking like the same one that we wanted to get. So this is how we've gone from a very basic list of budget amounts, and we've gone to kind of a cleaner format. We have added some rows so that we can break out the supplies category into subcategories. We've resized a column by dragging that size, and we've formatted cells. And then probably the most important thing we learned is that you can fill cells automatically by establishing a pattern and then dragging this corner box over the top, and it will extend that pattern that you established into new values so that you don't have to do it manually. I'm going to go ahead and undo that. So the objective was to have you be able to format the structure of a budget and use the fill feature. I hope you feel like you can do both of those things after this lesson, and if you have any questions, let me know. The next video is going to focus on introducing you to basic functions, which is very exciting. So stay tuned.